Joining me is the panel, James Macpherson of The Late Debate here on Sky News at 10 p.m. and Louise Elliott, business consultant and Hobart City Councillor. James, like I said, I tend to believe Alexander Downer, especially since he was given a spray by Malcolm Turnbull as Prime Minister for telling the Americans about Papadopoulos' tip, which Papadopoulos denies giving. But the problem here is that the CIA and FBI did indeed tie up Trump for years in defending himself from a crazy conspiracy theory that was actually first put out there by Hillary Clinton's campaign using a dossier of information the Democrats actually paid for. What do you make of all this?
Well, before we get to these incredible allegations, the bigger point here is that trust in public institutions throughout the West is now so low, you don't know what to believe anymore. And that's a big problem because we're entering a very dangerous phase of human history where Western governments may be called upon to ask citizens to make big sacrifices, and woe betide a government that tries to do that when the public are cynical and don't believe a word they're being told. So that's a big problem. As to these allegations, I mean, they're asking us to believe that the CIA was weaponised to destroy a political opponent. Now, you might believe that about the Obama administration, but further we've got to believe that ASIO are implicated in this, in spying on an American electoral candidate. That's a big call and has implications for Australia if it's true. We're also being asked to believe that the CIA documented their treason. This was all kept in a special folder, and that was the reason why the FBI raided Donald Trump's house looking for the evidence, which apparently Trump has hidden somewhere. So it's an incredible story if it's true. But back to my original point, the problem we've got in the West is that we are lied to so often, we don't know what to believe anymore, and that doesn't bode well for the future.
Now, James, you actually make good points to add to my scepticism, except for this, of course, we must remember that 51 former top intelligence officials, including a couple of people of the CIA, falsely issued a statement saying that Hunter Biden's laptop, the son of the president, was Russian disinformation, when in fact it was true and it was embarrassing and it implicated the whole Trump family in peddling their influence. So let us remember that. But Louise, there's been an attempt to nobble you as well. And the good news that you have for us tonight is that it has ended. Tell us what has happened.
Yes, that's right, Andrew. So almost a year ago now, I was being investigated for inciting hatred on the basis of gender identity because I said in part that trans women are trans women and remain biological men. And nearly a year later and many, many thousands of dollars in legal expenses, that complaint's now been recently withdrawn. Surprise, surprise. Once someone has to do something rather than just send off a couple of aggrieved emails, when they actually have to put some effort in and start to front up to a tribunal, knowing that I'm prepared to take it as high as it needs to be through to the High Court, if so, the complaint's magically withdrawn. So what's really at the heart of this is it's another tactic to try and silence people who some people disagree with, and silence people who are speaking the truth and have a fair and valid opinion. And all along, Mike, people expect complaints like this, but what happens, and it comes back to that institution point earlier in trusting institutions, is I'm particularly concerned that the Equal Opportunity Tasmania, the anti-discrimination body down here in Tasmania, accepted the complaint. Fair enough, complaints will come in, but to waste people's time, money and taxpayer resources on something so ridiculous is something I'll be definitely taking up and pushing back harder on.
See, here, though, James, Louise's story, right, it's the process that is the punishment. Yeah. Someone can put in a little complaint in, spend 5 minutes on it, and then tie someone up to thousands of dollars of legal expenses and all the fret and worry. I wonder whether boards like this, the Tasmanian Discrimination, and I've got a problem with them, should be demanding a bond. If you're going to put in an allegation, you should put up some money and you forfeit it if you don't come through with the evidence.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, the process is the punishment, which makes it a gross and grievous injustice. Louise Elliott is trying to represent her constituents and instead is fighting this ridiculous battle that turned out to be a load of nonsense. And it's not the first time, certainly not in Tasmania. You can go back years ago to, was it Archbishop Julian Porteous, who spent 2 years and hundreds of thousands of dollars fighting a ridiculous charge in the discrimination tribunal. Lyle Shelton in Queensland is fighting a similar case there, different issues, but again, what I would say are frivolous complaints. This is happening right around the country and it's a gross injustice. I think your suggestion about a bond being put up to make sure these complaints are serious and there's some recompense if they turn out to be other than serious is a very good idea.